The next thing we're going to do is get the finger of the left hand prepared to be able to be placed onto the string in preparation for the first song, which will be the seesaw song. So we'll start out with one of our previous lessons, and I'm using the miniature violin here, the small violin, because we have tape marks, and each of the students have these 3 tape marks on their instrument. There's maybe 1 or 2 that actually have a slightly different layout of markings, but everyone knows which tape marks they're supposed to use. So in a previous lesson we talked about the finger slide. So this is how that they'll get set for this this next game. So they'll get their hand in place using this finger slide game, bring their fingers up, and then what we're going to do is we'll have them pull their fingers away from the violin like this, and then they'll take their first finger, which is their index finger, and on the A string, which is the second string, they're going to anchor their thumb right there. It's going to still be relaxed though, but it won't move. It's not the same as the X slide that we did before. This will just be the finger will be sliding, the index finger. So they'll go up from the edge on the A string. They can actually do it on any string, but the seesaw song will be on the A string, so it's good practice for them to find it. So they'll just take right at the edge of the fingerboard is this raised part, very, very small, only that thick. This is called the nut. So they'll slide from the nut to the first mark, and then when they reach that first mark, then they'll press their finger down onto the string. Up until then, they're just skating on the top, and then they press it down. So this is a really helpful thing for them to be able to a great skill, because if we don't approach this carefully, then a lot of times they develop lots of habits, like holding their arm and their hand like this and all kinds of things. But if they get used to the right approach toward that marking, then they'll establish a good hand position from the beginning. The other thing we can do is called the elevator game. The finger slide that really comes from Kato Havas. She said that when she observed the great gypsy violinists, that they all had this kind of natural approach toward putting the finger on the string rather than like a hammer. They just kind of eased into the string, and that kept them relaxed. And then the next thing is called the elevator game. That comes from Mimi Zweig. And what that is you imagine that you're actually maybe works better under the chin, because it feels more like the elevator then. So we set the finger, we'll go ahead and slide the finger, but we won't press it down. We're just going to leave it on top of the string. And then we count down from 5 to 1, and during the countdown the child imagines that they're riding an elevator down from the 5th floor of a building, and as we count down to 1, the finger slowly lowers until the number 1, it will be solid onto the string. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and right at 1 it makes solid contact. And what this does is it trains them the right amount of pressure, the perfect amount of weight of the finger onto the string, because otherwise they might be tempted to press down really, really hard. It's not necessary, and it will tire them out. Or they may not press hard enough, and if they don't press hard enough, then they get a kind of a fuzzy sound. It'll sound like this. So once it goes down at the right amount, you'll get a solid sound again. And you can even, in fact, that's another way to practice the elevator game, is that with the bow. So they'll go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and by the time they get to 1, they're getting a good sound. So that's the elevator game. So that's so those are the ways of getting the first finger prepared.